Alrighty. Let's go with that button. Hello, everybody. I have to position myself very carefully because I've been moving cameras all day. Hello, good evening to my Pacific Coast friends, and good evening to everyone, I guess. After 5 o'clock, it's just evening for everyone. And hello, hope everyone's doing well. This is the first in 2 years and some change of VGM Feedback Night, where we listen to video game music arrangements and covers and similar with your peers, and we talk about how to improve. We share constructive critique. We talk about different goals that we have in mind, and just share in the enjoyment of great music, cool instruments, fun videos, and games. And I'm joined tonight with my wonderful friend, amazing violinist, YouTuber that you definitely have seen, Patty Rudisil. So thank you for joining me, Patty. Why am I doing this like a podcast? I literally can't stream it.
It feels like a podcast since I can't see the stream. I just see you and me talking. So,
that is.
Hello, everyone. Great to be here. Super hyped to do these feedback streams again. Well, I didn't do one before, but Ro used to do them, and they were always super fun to see. And I always thought it would be fun to be a part of. So, also Freya is here joining me.
Yeah, I think Freya's got like a. Do you think she gives good feedback? Hopefully.
Sure. She purrs right into the mic sometimes. Does that count as feedback?
I think so. But nonetheless, I'm really excited for just what we're going to get to watch here. And I'm going to keep an eye on the chat because this is a very chat-focused kind of stream. So before we get started, of course, as you're coming in, I'm going to share kind of how this goes. There are rules and a pinned post, since this is the first time we're streaming on YouTube, change that I kind of arbitrarily made, and so far is going great. So again, we're here to improve, which is kind of the theme of the whole thing. So we want to be super respectful, of course, because it is super scary to post videos of you making music on the internet. But we also want to work towards improvement. So followed by lead, Patty and I are going to do our best to kind of share feedback based on our experiences for the last 10 to 20 many years of playing our instruments, being involved in music.
Oh, yeah, I thought you meant like 20 years of YouTube.
No. We're not in the
not
future
that many.
yet. But yourself, you've played your primary instrument for a very long time, and
yes,
I've been playing guitar for 17 years as of this summer. So yeah, we're gonna do our best to be, again, respectful, but also helpful. One of the great things in the pinned post is I'll share all the rules. Because of our backgrounds, I thought it would be most comfortable for Patty and I to talk about video game covers. So for now, if you're sharing submissions, we'd like to take things like video game cover, remix, arrangement, whatever you call them. We're gonna play back up to 3 minutes, and then I will cut it off. That way we can get through as many music videos as possible and have really fun discussions about each one. We're not gonna have... I'm gonna post the YouTube link to every video we watch, so please check it out, or you can click it and watch it yourself if you want to hear it in a little better quality. And of course, feel free to subscribe or follow to these people. This is a great chance to kind of meet especially new artists and new friends, which is great. And I'm also going to provide their pronouns so that we can discuss respectfully again and just be excellent people. And then what else do I need to explain? For feedback, we're going to listen and watch, and I'm going to specify the feedback that the person's looking for, because I know some folks are going after different goals. Some people want to play on stages, and some folks, therefore may not care about video, and we can focus on the things they're looking for: better mixes, better production, creative arranging, things like that. And then other times they might be like me and like Patty and are really good at watching for videos, getting fun costume ideas and different things. So I'm gonna share that, and please, consider your feedback focused on that. And what else? I think that's about it. Yeah, just share as best feedback as we can, and of course, we're all working on different things and improving. I'm sure both Patty and I, we have videos that we'll look back at and have our own kinds of feedback and critiques and wants for improvement as well. So, this is my best attempt to kind of make this a level playing field and hopefully comfortable enough to where you all can keep submitting. I'm going to stop talking. Why don't we watch?
Comment that my cat is too distracting. I'm sorry. Should I kick her out? I don't think I can.
You know what's wild? I'm not seeing half of the comments pop up in my pop-up chat. That's so weird. I see Rahul.
You mean the
David
YouTube
here.
chat?
Yeah.
You have to go to
Thomas,
live
Julia.
chat instead of top chat if you have it
I did
on top
switch
chat by
that.
default.
And the one that you're seeing on OBS, y'all, is like, oh wait, okay. There's a fan funding. We're not doing that. Live chat. Moderation activity. What is? Oh, I guess that'll just be me. Wait. Oh no. My Streamlabs yelled at David. Take it back. Take it back. More caps. That's
It's
a joke.
because I'm
by the way.
here.
The bot has to disobey when you're here. Oh,
Because the very first time I streamed, we had like the most chaotic.
I may be a little
rogue
quiet.
bot
Thank you,
ever.
Ryu. Okay, so I guess I'll lower Patty's volume a tiny bit. There's no point in that though. So
What was
okay.
the bot sentient?
I'm just gonna talk really loud. Okay, and I'm gonna keep that chat up. So, let's go ahead and get some music going. Again, thank you everybody for coming out here. I'm gonna be a broken record, but this is really scary, like, because you want to be nice, and also you have to fight that so that your want for your peers to improve and yourself to improve can take over. So the first cover we're gonna watch 3 minutes of comes from Shay's Violin, She, Her. It is Scars of Time from Chrono Cross, a very, very signature song. Little bit of extra notes for us, and I'm gonna go ahead and kind of pre-paste this here. Haven't done the effects yet, and curious about acoustic hand drums being played / programming, and how that can improve the final product. So talking about mix, videography, as well as performance and arrangement. Sorry that the form might get a little messy. I'm apologizing mostly to Patty because she has to look at the form possibly, but yeah. So
Am I supposed to look at the form? Because I don't know where that is.
I just read it aloud anyway.
Because I don't think I have that.
I'm rolling with it as we go. So anyway, Let's check out some Scars of Time. Oh yeah, it's gonna automatically do a weird pausing thing. Let's. already forgot to do the one thing I said I was going to do. So let me paste the URL to this video.
Oh.
As well as the artist, so that y'all can comment extra well. And I don't know why I put it in the broken chat thing. Hopefully that pops up. You know what? I think like this is straight up just broken, not refreshing. Okay.
It's not showing up in the layout, or is that?
I don't know if it's showing up in chat when I type stuff.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah.
But
There might
yeah, and
be a
once
delay.
again, thank you everyone for coming by. That's the first video that we just checked out. Patty, do you want to go first? And, like take turns, or should I go first with kind of like thoughts, impressions?
You can go first.
Okay, sure. So I guess for context, I've never played Chrono Cross, and I've heard this song arranged, covered, the original a variety of different ways. I very much enjoy Chrono Cross music and Chrono Trigger music. And I always feel like it's very like open for arranging, which is really cool. So there's a lot of really nice instruments that Shay uses here that are already like from an impressions point of view is really exciting. In Western music scenes and circles, of course, we don't see someone playing erhu, which is awesome. And I also like that it's very comfortable to see the transition from erhu to violin as the lead elements. So those were some of the first things that come to mind. It's clean to mix, it's clean to video. So when it comes to like giving feedback, everything I'm thinking of is definitely in terms of like where to go from this, or like what you might do in the future arranging. So tonally, I think like, or let's start with video ideas. I love that you have the clean color and performances. One of the things that's really cool here is the angles. I like that the guitar has like a kind of unique neck down angle. There's a little bit of depth of field going on, and it changes up because if you play every instrument, facing forward, I think it could be a little bit samey in terms of like watching the video, and especially in 2024, this format of split screens and multiple instruments performed at once. I think it's so commonplace now, which is great, that it's almost inviting people to change it up. Seeing about like different sections having different tempos. One suggestion, I guess, would be having more like crossfades during the beginning, and especially when there's such a unique instrument being played. I would almost say like seeing 2 or 3 angles of the erhu's performance, just to show off how cool that instrument is, would be kind of nice. And then
You're saying all the things I was gonna say.
Really? I mean,
Yeah, I was thinking like even maybe like a little Ken Burns type thing, or just something for the beginning section, just to give it a little more movement and just really play into like the lyrical side of the opening, especially contrasted to like the next section.
What I like about the upbeat section is, like, I was just thinking it as I was watching it again. I do believe I've seen this video before. Is like, all right, we're in the faster section here, so the edit could go faster and kind of play along with the music, and it does. So at that point, I feel like having more instrument shows makes sense. Again, like I'm known for not liking split screens, even though I love Eric Laddish and his band and all that. But if you're gonna do it, it makes sense because this is the bigger section. There's much more shots. And yeah, that's why I know Shay's also improviser and a live person. So that's kind of like in conflict with that. So my suggestion there is perform live, and once you have the take you like, kind of relearn it and shoot it in such a way that the faking isn't as obvious, or the dubbing rather. I know David Russell is very famous for pulling that off. It is a little bit more time, but if you shoot less instruments, I think you get back the time. That's just, again, my take. And then I think just in terms of music, I thought like the acoustic nylon guitar mix was really cool. For doubling parts, I could hear a teeny little bit of the I think there's 2 chats going on. It is let me see if the correct link is being shared. Yeah, apologies for that. I think that explains why I see
2
like some
chats?
Yeah, there's been 2 chats.
How's
Yeah, no, Subversive brings up that point. Playing audio and video live at the same time, I don't do it because I find a lot of challenges um, with that, and I would rather just kind of film my primary instrument because my goal is, of course, to showcase myself just as a guitar player.
Oh, hi,
But
Shay. She's here
yeah,
now.
there we go.
Um,
Wonderful.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say we'd actually talked. When I was we were discussing another video of hers. That it might be possible, yeah, to like overdub some videos, like different angles, like after the fact, just to help out with the video element. Because yeah, it is really hard when you do live stuff to get the video at a
Spot
certain
on.
quality, unless yeah, you have like a million different cameras or like production crew that can help facilitate that. It's really difficult to do that.
Yeah, we all already are choosing compromises galore. So I think longer term, just and this is something I know my buddy Dean, or longest solo ever, and I have both slowly over 10 years come to agree on is like, when you find your zen place of like, all right, what am I actually doing on YouTube here? I wasn't trying to prove that I was the best bassist. So I stopped spending that extra 10 to 15 minutes playing bass, in the video, and slowly and slowly I chipped away until I would just focus on like, if I would improvise something, I would have to spend that time and relearn it and match it. But then when I go outside, I can film there, or I can avoid some of that work. So it is going to be a personal kind of compromise and choice there. But
well, and that's like another thing too, that like if you can't record multiple angles for those reasons, like because you're doing it live, you could still show multiple angles of things like with B-roll or other ways of like showing artsy things, even game footage. You could use that to break it up. Because yeah, like if I do a solo, like a long lyrical solo, I probably won't have like the one angle the entire time. I'll at least do like a close, wide, close. Or, if I only have one angle of the thing, which often happens in collab videos, for example, then yeah, I'll have some kind of B-roll or other thing that I can just throw in to keep the same vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really neat kind of thing because both you and I have definitely started from like very visually, I guess, different things than what we might do today. And as Rahul points out, like a lot of people can get really ruthless about cutting out the bloat, but it's because like today, or no, 2 days ago, I shot a video outside with a friend. It was collab footage, and we had like 9 or 10 clips, and I cut it in about 6 minutes with the multicam because I'm only showing one guitar, one ocarina part. But from like a reaction point of view, from the majority of my viewers, no one's ever been like, "Oh no, I missed when you showed how all the other parts goes." But that's also again like that's my audience. The rock and metal folks are usually more interested in the pure flash or like the pure riffs. So yeah, I think this goes for everyone. I'm sure submitting and ourselves is just like kind of think about like how you work on these things and what you want to showcase, and that can help you decide your approach. Mix wise, I feel like as the resident violin player, if you have any thoughts on how this sounded or even just in general.
Not from mixing in general. It is close mic'd. It's recorded a little bit differently than I would normally do, so I can't really speak to like how to mix for that. But also that's like from the standpoint of because if you're recording live, and I know that that's an issue, like moving around and stuff when you're performing live. Because like when I record, I'm like dead still so that the sound doesn't get affected by the mic. But actually, I did have one. I mean, the video is so great. I didn't get a chance to say that, but like I thought it was really great overall. But like the only thing that really stood out to me, like performance wise, was especially maybe like with the violin lead line in the faster section. It felt a little bit like it was tending on the back of the beat, and I know it's improvised too, so that could be part of it, or maybe it is stylistic, and I'm just like totally off base here. I don't know, but since it has that more like it really has to be in the pocket and just kind of driving forward motion. It felt a little bit like the solo was hanging back. And like I would have liked to hear it kind of like leading ahead. So that was just one thing that that jumped out to me. And like, I mean, it's such a nitpicky thing because like I said, the video is really great.
I think you almost get obligated to give feedback on a feedback stream. So it almost goes without saying, whatever I'm saying, it's stuff that I'm working hard to think of. And usually my impression with all of these is, oh my god, a video game cover. That's so cool. Like, and a lot of the folks, you know, in our community have been playing their instruments for so long. So like a lot of the stuff is taken care of. So I appreciate that you highlighted that aspect too. Like, feedback doesn't mean everything you disliked about something. It means, you know, all sorts of impressions too. Since we have so many covers to go through, I think we're gonna keep trucking along. But thank you so much for submitting, Shay. This next one,
yeah, that was great,
from Rhythm Bastard, he, him, and I'm gonna throw this ahead of time in chat like a smart person. This is SS Anubis from Jet Force Gemini, a game that is beloved to many, but I have still somehow not gotten to play more than 20 minutes of, because it's very hard to get a real cartridge, and that's the only way I play games. We're going to be giving all sorts of music and especially production feedback. So we're going to help out Mr. RB here and listen to... That's not the right URL.
I'm still confused how there are two chats going on. Where was the other
I think the
one?
other chat's gone, unless... Wait.
No, they said you posted in the other chat.
Oh,
So you just put the
sorry.
link there.
Yeah, it's because I'm sharing that one on OBS for the record. I'll probably just get rid of it and accept that. But thank you. I'll just leave one chat open because this is a lot for trying to manage here. All right, let's listen to some music, and I think we'll get through the whole thing. Listening right now, but somehow that relaxed. Alrighty. That was SS Anubis from Jet Force Gemini, and a very punk rock take on it to start with. Yeah, it reminds me of 1960s Batman. So yeah, so one of the things, of course, that I start with when it comes to like rock and metal in general is, and I'm going to avoid my best of like over explaining or mansplaining or otherwise like saying anything that's incorrect accuracy. But rock is like such a gigantic umbrella that when it comes to making rock VGM, when I started in 2010, everyone was kind of just free for all. And slowly, of course, everyone's shared, different rock guitar players were bringing up like, oh yeah, I listened to these bands, these guitar players, and these influences. So since I followed a lot of Rhythm's like music for a while, I know that he's one of the few folks I follow along with Project Genesis who make like punk. And gosh, there's one band, I don't know what they call themselves, Bad Religion. I feel like that should be one of the many like golden standard modern punk takes where energy is high and you don't have 100 layers of tracks, you don't have special effects, you don't have many outside instruments, you just have guitars, bass, drums, and go from there. So when it comes for impressions, I feel like that simplicity is definitely there. It's fairly tight. I really like that it has that energy and like when it comes from guitar playing, especially, like there's angry, full distortion tones going on, and that's fantastic. I wrote down a bunch of little different notes because I feel like this could go many directions. The first thing is the drum samples, and everything I say can be done for free because one thing that I really don't love is how whenever people talk about producing guitar-centric music, we're like, oh yeah, just buy this thing and then you'll be good. No. You have to have Superior Drummer 3 or your music won't sound good, or you have to buy Soothe 2. I've been told this for millions of plugins, and I'm sure maybe not the exact same ones, but this is mildly relatable to you, Penny. Like,
Soothe 2 is really good, though.
Soothe 2 is really good, and you should buy it. But
I really needed it, but yeah.
Yeah, actually, Soothe 2 has helped me mix brass work more than anything. But yeah, when it comes to like approaching this, so I think take each instrument one at a time when it comes to improvement. So for drums, I think the drum samples themselves definitely sounded a little bit like kind of 80s dance drums. So when it comes to getting realistic drums, I would definitely recommend checking out ReaperTips.com. I don't believe Rhythm uses Reaper, but if you do, there's a free template. Actually, no, it's not free. It's like $20, but it uses all free plugins. And I would actually just get that and spend like a week with it. If not, you can check out Slate Trigger 2 free, and it's free samples. They're not going to be super dynamic. I wouldn't tell someone who plays jazz or even like symphonic rock to go for that, but they're really good. I think they would be a little bit of a step up, and it'll get you closer to your sound out of the box. Another thing, of course, is if you do want to spend money, watch the sales and grab Get Good Drums One Kit Wonders. They're very, very easy to use, and they're kind of pre-mixed, so you can kind of focus on other aspects of making music. If you do want to start diving in, just go to YouTube, metal mix production, rock production. There's tons of videos. There's actually a shortage I found when it comes to mixing jazz and classical derived kind of music compared to how much metal production there is. David Guthrie pointed out that when it comes to approaching recording guitars, there's kind of like an interesting thing going on. I would take off reverb for sure and see how your mixes sound recording the same guitar part 2 different times, hard left and right. It's a classic metal approach. It may not be the way you would do it for like punk, and we're talking about like 70s, 80s punk stuff where you just have a left guitar and a right guitar, but having that like stereo image built out can really fill out your song, and then you can have your lead guitar kind of act as a vocal line in the center. You could also double your lead guitar line since you're not doing anything too shreddy and messy. So I think it would actually sound really pretty if you have them like lead left, lead right, and then pan those how you like. And then when it comes to bass guitar, I think I liked that I could hear the low end. You can get a little bit of clank by doubling your layer and distorting a second bass layer that's filtered out to the high end. There's a lot of popular techniques, but I think the big thing is just check out different tutorials, or hit up a friend. You can even hit me up, we're in Game Grooves, and see how your songs sound mixed by someone else, and then like go instrument by instrument. What would you do? The more different kinds of approaches you hear your music put through, I think it can give you some really good ideas there. And that's basically all the notes I had when it comes to rock production. Patty, especially as someone who may not be an aficionado of the heavier music. What goes through your head when you listen to music like this? And I ask Allison all the time the same thing.
And it's tough too because I also don't know the source material, so I'm
Yeah,
just like
likewise.
I have no frame of reference for this. I don't know. It's hard, yeah, because I don't really notice all like any of the things you said. I guess like my impression, like it sounded maybe like some things, like maybe like velocities or something could be played around with more. Like I don't know if that's. I could be totally off. Like I really don't know how to listen to this kind of genre at all.
Usually it's in a van and you move your head like this. And
yeah, because like I don't know. Like I don't know what's normal for these kinds of mixes, and like I really am. Like I rely on other people to tell me how to mix when I do things that are a little outside of my zone, you know. So yeah, I'm glad you have lots of things to say because I
like simultaneously didn't want to hog feedbacking, but I also don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, because there was no video either. I was like, at least if there was video, I would say something about that. But so it's just about the music. Yeah, I can't really speak to that very well. So
I appreciate that. Again, in our chat right now, we have folks who are producing rock, who are producing jazz, R&B, all sorts of different kinds of instrumentations. And again, like I'll get off my soapbox in a sec, but one thing I love about being in VGM is like I probably wouldn't have been able to make so many friends who are doing such vastly different music things without having the underlying video game-ness as our connection. So that's always great. Hello, I'm not in North Carolina anymore, so I hope North Carolina is doing well. But welcome. That actually was the first time I think I saw someone mention North Carolina when chatting with me, and I was just like, oh my gosh. But thank you again, Rhythm Bastard, for sending that in. We're going to keep chugging along, and I'm going to remember the right chat this time. Also, I'm going to highlight these in our list here. Also, I don't know what the hell these ads are on Watch Together, but so far they're not unsavory, so I'm not too worried. So I'm going to go through the VGM stuff since that's what we're signed up for first, which I mentioned to David, but I am very excited to listen to your Nerdcore track. I'm working on at least 1 or 2 Nerdcore tracks with a few friends, and once I've worked on those, I will feel confident enough to try one. We have a Nier song. All right, this one comes from Enva, she, her. This is Cold Steel Coffin from Nier Replicant, so you will absolutely know the...
From Replicant? Do I not know that?
Yeah, Nier Replicant. Biggest challenge, how to make the second half of the song interesting with only vocals and piano. Since in the original, it's basically the first half with drums. We're going to be talking about the mix and the video, music, and arranging the Holy Four. So give it up for Enva, everybody. And let's take a listen. I need the timer. Yeah, I'll give it the timer.
Oh, I can't hear you, Ro.
There we go. I was on mute. Yeah, sorry. We went just a hair over there while I was typing. Taladar, good suggestion. If you are unable to make the whole stream, completely fine. I will take it upon myself to post all of the YouTube links to the videos that we watched in my Discord. I'll make either a separate channel or a forum or something just so that you can keep up with all the folks that were there. Many of the submissions I recognize are in either my Discord or a Game Grooves community Discord. Patty, would you like to go first? Especially since you played the game and work in this.
Yeah, although to me a second, this is from did I just never know the title of this track? I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to I feel like I'm not that qualified to talk about vocal stuff. Like it sounds really great to me. It is a longer track, so I see like about asking about how to like vary it up or make it different. Because yeah, for a track this long, I would definitely struggle to think of how to mix it up, and I probably would add more instruments because it's like hard to
multi-instrumentalists trying to think of ways to spice up arrangement.
Yeah, because that's what I do.
At all the like different instruments and doodads that you would come up with.
Yeah, or also with the video, like I don't think there's anything wrong with this type of video though. Like it's nice to see, like especially when it's like if it's only 6 parts throughout, it's cool to see that. But like I don't know if they would want to like maybe rather, make that a little more cinematic with like game footage or like changing up angles or stuff. I don't know though, because like yeah, it's tough when it's choir like this. So it's not like there's one thing to focus on. It really is like about the ensemble, so that makes it kind of tricky in that way.
I think your head's where my head's at too. Again, like because there's certainly nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm like, first of all, I don't recognize if Enva is in any form of like costume related to the game or just really like your hair and the flower. But
well, white hair is like a near thing.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it's just so and the flowers.
One point that I personally very much enjoy, and I do think is a pretty excellent factor when you make your music video. And again, do not listen to my advice if you're trying to grow on YouTube. Listen to my advice if you just want to make something that impresses musicians and video people. I love it when people connect their music videos to the game, even a tiny bit. And it's not always possible, certainly not always necessary for, growth. But that means that, this video, I watch it, I'm a Nier fan, I'm going to get super hyped. And if every video kind of ends up looking samey, it's a little bit difficult for me to like get super hyped up in that regard. Now, if you're writing your own music and stuff, it becomes a different thing. But yeah, that was one thing I thought of to make the video more interesting. Game footage is always one thing, or even just small little nods to that song. Maybe that song plays during like a very crucial cutscene, and you could, make a little prop out of, whatever you could find. Give yourself a budget of $20 and go to Michael's or something. The world is your oyster. I feel like, and I'll talk you up all throughout the stream, but I feel like you, especially Patty, have done this in a lot of different ways. That
I feel called out because I just dropped a ton of money yesterday at the
Woo!
So yeah, I think for this part of the game it might be kind of hard to do that, to find something. But I mean, not really. Like you can always like find ways to call like
I thought
things
like
in the game, even if
sound
it's
design
not.
things too. Like yes, vocals, yes, piano. But if there's sound effects, again, from the game, like that are commonplace, that wouldn't be jarring. Things like dropping on the floor or like, something that might set the tone right. That might be interesting, especially for a 4-minute video. And then
Some people commented on the piano.
yeah,
and
we should talk audio.
I was actually like, okay, because I'm not an expert at piano mixing either, so maybe I'm totally wrong. But like my initial impression was that the piano sounded kind of soft, like tone wise, like not like a very direct sound. And like if I was doing it, I would want it to have more of a kind of attack or something, just to like poke through more. But people are saying that it doesn't have enough reverb and that it sounds like it's too in the front. So I'm not wondering what it is that I'm thinking.
So some techniques that are common, and I think Julia certainly employs or at least knows about these, is setting up a new track for your reverb or different kinds of reverbs. and then learn, if you're not familiar, using automation, so you can bring out reverb during certain sections, bring it down when it's busy, and you can even EQ that reverb so it doesn't get in the way of your piano, your original, your vocal, the raw vocals. There's a lot of really cool techniques that people employ with vocals to make things fit together. For the piano one, I'm curious, has anyone mixed piano and used transient controllers to boost attack before it hits the reverb? Because that could be potentially interesting. I use it on drums and percussion all the time. Some people use it.
I've used it on string VSTs before, but not piano. Because usually I can control the piano, like I can just use a different sound. Of course, this is a real piano, so that's
I
a little
didn't
more
even think
limited.
about that. I just, in my mind, I was like, wow, okay, this is what I would do to your VST.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using a real piano, then you'd have to do it with mixing, or mic differently. Yeah, like Julia said. Yeah, you can just different ways of miking the piano because
Yeah, before you even start playing with the reverb, like for a next project, that's a really cool idea too.
yeah, brightness. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because it wasn't as direct in that sense. Like
Overall,
it has
I
like
thought the mix could also be, like, you could play with things like small saturation or just brightness on the EQ, and whichever voice has the lowest register, like maybe increasing a little bit of that low end. I know that's kind of hard to fake anyway, so but yeah, just to make the overall mix kind of have more fullness in both corners of like the spectrum, I guess. But I really enjoyed that, and oh my gosh, the performance is fantastic. That's what really catches your ear first, I think.
well, it's such a cool choice to cover too. Like definitely an underrated track, but beautiful.
Yeah, I'm gonna highlight these in the spreadsheet here. We've got to keep trucking along because we have oh no, wait, is that the right math here? We have 14 more to go. We've listened for. And again, anything that, if you personally, I guess, and you don't have to sign up for this too, but if you personally feel that I could assist in any way from a feedback and it's after the stream, you're always welcome to DM me, especially on Discord, or post it in like my Discord. I think your Discord probably has a channel as well for something or the other for feedbacks. And of course, I'm part of the Game Groups community where there's a feedback channel, and many of these people you've watched reside. So this next one comes from Cook Chicory, he, him. It is from the game that I've definitely heard of, Wonder Boy Monster World 3. So I'm gonna paste that here to start. Yeah, likewise. And again, if you're new to myself or Patty, or just that there is such a scene as this, please feel free to either join up a Discord or stick around, because yeah, this is what we like to talk about and do and share, and it's how we all became friends. Even as vastly different as our music might appear, or different choices in games and stuff. So, but anyway, we're gonna take a listen here. We're gonna be talking mix audio, video, music performance, and arrangement, all four. So let's get some Monster World up in here. I'll watch the clock for this.
Based on me.
She's just hype. and I'm trying to find musically okay spots to pause to, which is a little difficult. But yeah, wow. First of all, I've not played Wonder. I gotta get the name right, or I'm gonna say Wonder Bread. Wonder Boy. I have definitely seen this game brought up a lot in retro circles, and this is such a charming kind of track. Like, it's really charming. It's sweet, and Cook Chicory, you've shared a video before, and that was the first time I found this. I feel like you deserve to give a name to this style. I think it's the find edges effect, and then doing like color fills, but it's pretty lovely, and I really enjoy how like that color palette feels. Is like how I feel my house should always look.
Yeah, it's definitely a vibe. It's really cool.
Very relaxing kind of a song. You could have told me it's from like a farming sim or something, like Harvest Moon 64 or something. So yeah, when it comes to my thoughts, I could start with video because it's the briefest. I love the outline style. I would say explore ways that it could kind of connect to the game or follow any sort of pattern to change it up. Especially because it's a music performance video. I think it's really exciting to watch for musicians for sure. But then if you just have something that glues it a little bit stylistically to your game, either like the choice of the color palette being directly part of Wonder Man, and I think it's a Game Boy game, like Game Boy but not Game Boy Color. So it would be really cool to see the game kind of played out that way a little bit more. But yeah, otherwise, again, like it's a really charming song that way. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the source of this either, so I couldn't like speak to that. But yeah, I agree. It's always good to find ways to tie into the game, either in color palettes or otherwise. I really liked how like it was like 2.5 minutes through, it just kind of changed quite noticeably in like a cool way with the vibe, and
yeah, I think the percussion elements started like becoming more kit like, instead of just kind of like, you know how old school soundtracks might be where they have like a little snare thing going on. Sonically, or like just in terms of audio things, I think the only performance catch I could really hear was getting like the iwis, which are electric wind instruments, getting those lined up, I think, a bit better for timing's sake. It was something I could only catch by being hyper focused on it, because with guitar recordings especially, we get really, really specific about that tightness, and I think that can present it really uniformly. And then, yeah, like things like the clarinets coming in after like the more bright and louder saxophone. I thought it would be nice to have those leads match up, even just like brightening it up. And then I don't know which saxophone it is because I'm a terrible person. But one of them during its solo, I felt like the mids were kind of poking out a little bit, which is a natural thing. So like subtle EQ to just catch those kind of things, I think would make it more of an even mixture without things like poking out too oddly. But yeah, again, it's very enjoyable. And I would say for the kick drum during like the drum spot, I thought it was a little light compared to like the other elements in the, you know, the drum kit. So playing around with like parallel compression and maybe even like doubling the kick drum with like a sample, like an electronic one, or, you know, just one you can find online to fill it out more, might be an interesting idea to play with. But I don't think that, like, you don't want to take away the cutesy charm. So that might be like more of a heavy idea to make it like more poppy. But I don't know, Patty, what do you think, audio wise or mix wise?
I think that was the extent of my notes, because I don't. Yeah, it's just not really my genre. I just really enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was very pleasant to listen to and really fun. So
Yeah, I feel terrible because, Julia, I'm sure this has never happened to you, but I mix up Joe Zija's saxophones when video editing him all the time, except for the Barry. Just because I've never been around musical instruments up until very recently in my life, as is, and we only own, I think, we only own an alto sax. I think that's the one that's like that's got this mount situation, but not curvy. Like it's a whole thing. Anyway, yeah, and again, chat, feel free to chime in with your listens. We are only 2 sets of ears up here, so it's understandable. They're only labeled. Actually, no, they're not. They're not. That's my excuse.
They're only an ascending different size, right? I mean,
yeah,
but
they're like, but they're
gradually
not like
bigger.
they're not next to each other when they're sent in video forms. So I've like had the alto is not curvy, right? It's the straight neck.
I know people confuse the viola and the violin all the time, so I get it.
Even I've caught myself, if I don't hear them and I'm like seeing them in a video, it'll take me a second. Of course, with like your last video with a Table of Wisdom, that's not the name of the game. I was like, that's viola.
Tables of Wisdom. Yeah.
Oh my god, what is actually the name?
Echoes.
Echoes. Okay. It's Tables of Wisdom. I came up with a better title. But yeah, again, it's very enjoyable, and I like how distinct visually this is because sure, it may not like be a very overt like Wonder Man cover or something, but what's beautiful about this is that I know it's Cook Chicory videos, and it's just really cool that you can see someone make something and it screams them. So I think that's something I aspire to be able to create that way. But nonetheless, we trudge on through this next one. I think I know the song source, the game source. I don't know if I've actually played the game source. But nonetheless, we've got Mateus, or MGR he him, working on the theme to Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And we've got some interesting notes here. So let me read these and then we'll get going. All right, fun fact about this cover. All the plugins are used for free, and the guitar lines were written in MIDI using Spitfire Labs electric guitar library. Amplitude 5 for tuning, which I'm familiar with. Amplitude, I've not used it on my projects, but I've played through it quite a bit. Recorded it with the Strat, and the E string broke, so I ended up using a MIDI guitar, and I liked it. And then Ample Bass P for bass, MT Power Drum Kit for drums. So these are all kind of like well-known-ish plugins, I think, for their respective instruments, especially MT Power Drum Kit. So a lot of folks I know got their start making stuff with these kind of things. So we're going to be talking about all sorts of audio and arrangement ideas here. Let's get down to some Vice City.
Opa, antes de começar o vídeo, peço para que caso você goste, deixe seu like aí embaixo e compartilhe com alguém. Isso ajuda demais, você não tem noção.
Alright, I already have one piece of feedback. Wow. Alright, that was fast. Okay. I had to make sure I wasn't muted.
Was that Portuguese at the beginning? Is that like that little?
I don't want to make any assumptions, but I believe it was. I keep going first. Would you like to?
Oh,
your thoughts?
yeah, because I can't say that much about it. No, I thought it was really cool. The video, like way to take like a real stylistic idea and just run with it. Um, and I like that it was short, and compact. Like, it doesn't overstay its welcome. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of shorter covers myself. Usually, if I start to get bored by it, I'm just like, no, we're gonna cut it. No more, no more looping this. And yeah, I like that. I don't know the game, so I can't say anymore, but I assumed it was like really relevant to that.
Hey, we got Diva in the house.
Hey.
Likewise, I've played maybe an hour of San Andreas way after it came out, and I played 4 and 5. It was in college too, so I would like play through them and leave the radio on and be like, man, I should probably be studying right now. And that's where those games I think shine, because you could just turn them on and run around and do nothing of importance. Yeah,
say it, procrastinating studying.
Likewise, the video wise, my first piece of feedback, kill all the intros. I personally feel like I would click away every single time someone pops up not the thing I was expecting, but silently put all of that motion graphics in, like, comment, subscribe, all those things are perfectly viable. I don't want to speak to what's good and bad YouTubing or anything related to career, because that's not my forte. And yeah, just again from the video, I liked that it got that tube TV look with the kind of the spherical look, the TV scan lines, game footage. It's probably what a lot of people are expecting. So and we're not even, I don't think videos on a feedback there, but I do think that's a crucial piece of advice, because I just feel like if I would click away if someone had like an intro before their music and it's taking too long, unfortunately that may be the case for a lot of people. Musically, it sounded really cool. This is free plugins. Like, you mix better than tons of people I know with $1,000 of software. And that's something that's so validating, because that means if you do buy something, I think you'll use it quite well. In terms of what to improve, I liked the MIDI guitars. I think you use them quite well. I would layer them with a real guitar anyway, partially because I'm cocky about it, but also because for kind of old school recording style, they would, switch up different amps, and it doesn't sound like a very complicated parts. There's not intricate riffs or anything, so you'll get very good clean timing, and you can switch out your speakers to cabinets and diversify the tones that way. Maybe you're using like 1960s like Marshall-y sounds, you switch it up to some darker angle cabs, and you can EQ your same instrument different layers, and get a really great effect there. Drum wise, I feel like things, again, they sounded very level and very good. You could try compressing the kit more with parallel compression, different techniques that people use with live drums, or even more sophisticated samples. Or explore making like a room channel, because I don't think MT Power Kit has a room microphone, but that can just help give a little bit of liveliness, as long as you approach it with maybe compression, things that'll be conventional mixing for like productions, like rock and metal production. But I like it a lot. And yeah, just like the overall mix sounded really cool. I think, again, like with bass guitar, having a little bit of distortion and fuzz for the high end, so it feels like a bit closer to the guitars, and it's complementary rather than it just be some low end thing and then there's a gap and then there's guitars. But yeah, honestly, I'm like really nitpicking, because this is very impressive, especially because it's free. I wish you said that you spent like $20,000 on this or something. But no, this is very efficiently done, which, yeah, that's kind of the dream, isn't it? Oh, he's Brazilian. I could tell by, well, I'm not going to speculate nationality, but yeah, that honestly, that is really cool again to see folks from Brazil, South America, and just in general. Also, there's quite a big VGM scene there, I'm learning. And I believe there was Checker, who used to make a lot of VGM videos, was from Argentina. No, he's also, I believe, Brazilian. My apologies if I'm mixing up countries, but nonetheless, any other final thoughts? I think
great.
let's keep going. And again, we have been streaming for hardly an hour. I don't have a hard cutoff or anything necessarily, but I'm told it's recommended I eat food. So my goal was to stream for 2 hours ish. And then again, if I'll post all the videos we did watch, and then either next time I do one of these, we can get through the extras or something. This next one comes from a game series I haven't quite gotten to play yet, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Dot Battler. This comes from Cypher, the synergist, he, him. So let me share this, and I believe you're in chat. So
Yeah, they're in the chat.
I'm just going to tag you.
Oh, he's in.
So thank you for your submission as well. And we're going to be talking about music performance and arranging specifically. So, and the notes here is recommendations of contact sample libraries to improve instrumentation. So let's take a 3-minute listen here, and we'll talk about arranging stuff. That's the loop, by the way, if you just want to hear from there. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And I'm just going to finish my note there. Awesome. So, to start, and I feel like this is a weird little tradition now, I have not played Shin Megami Tensei 5. I, last week, I think saw a buddy of mine playing it, but listened to some of the music, of course, fair amount of Persona, of course. So I feel like there's like a crossover between like the JRPGs that don't have rock influences and then something like this where it kind of does. I like that there's a good amount of instrumentation going on to begin with. So you have like a lot of really interesting things someone can listen to, like the choir, the singular vocal. You have, of course, drums, bass, guitar, and I think a synthesizer going on, at least on the right side. I don't know if that was stereoized. So it's a very cool and flashy sort of playground of instruments to go on. So when it comes to contact recommendations, and for a lot of these, I think, Patty, you might have more thoughts on the libraries than I do. I would say, much in the spirit of the last one, I don't think you should feel obligated to buy a single thing to get a good cover, good mix on its own. like at least to where it's balanced out and you kind of, you know, showcase the things that you want to. Rather, I think working with exactly what you have right now, look into different kind of ways to use those libraries to their best. That's my personal advice I often share. And I know you didn't request mixing advice, but some of this will be that. So when it comes to drums, it sounded like there was a very similar loop the whole way. And a lot of the velocities tended to be very similar. So what you end up getting is very, you know, sort of like samey, and a lot of live drums, you know, listening to the original Shin Megami, listen to Persona 3, 4, 5 soundtracks, they're going for a realistic drum kit. So you'll have some lighter hits, and you'll have ghost notes or very light taps on the snare between the, you know, your so making those more balanced out and watching tutorials on each one of like the respective instruments you see. I always recommend Get Good Drums, not even for buying their drums, although you might, you know, like those, but their YouTube channel has great programming and mixing tutorials. Same with the bass. I felt like the bass guitar has a really cool tone, and all you need to do is kind of adjust the velocities to be a bit more realistic and produce it like a real bass guitar. Same with like some of the guitar things. Just kind of treat them as if they were the best VSTs you already have, and see how far you can really, really push those. But I'll shift it. The other thing, I guess, is because you loop it again, and there's not too many changes in the dynamics. I would say, like, you know, like we were talking about earlier, this could be half the length, just from an arrangement point of view, and just make it the coolest run through all the sections possible. That would just be, again, my personal take on how you could arrange something like this, and just make it sound like a knockout. You know, don't loop something that's kind of like half-efforted. Go like really hard. Patty, thoughts? VSTs.
Yeah. So what you're saying about VSTs is totally right, because like what I'm thinking of, like when I try to, I'm not good at programming stuff. First of all, let's just say that I'm
You're good at playing.
and I know I could be much better at making my current stuff sound better. That's really all on me. It's a skill issue. It's not the instruments themselves, because like sometimes I'll talk with other like pro composers and I'll hear what they use and I'll be like, okay, I'll get that same library. And does it sound like them? No. Like, and when I start using it, I'm like, oh, this doesn't even sound good. But it's because they know how to use it in a way that I don't. And that's the way it is with a lot of things. But also, like, I have used a lot of Spitfire Labs stuff that is free, and it just like sounds really good. So you really don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like you never really know what libraries are gonna give you your most mileage. And I thought this all sounded very good. Like, it sounded like this, like I don't know this game at all. I don't even know like what era it's from, or, but like it sounded kind of like an old school, you know, JRPG track. Like it could have been like the real track from the game, just like the way the sounds were to me. The only thing that stood out, I think, was like the vocal, like the choir vocal part. Not like the higher pitched thing, which might not even be a vocal. It might be some other instrument. I don't know. But like, just like, it sounded like it was behind. And that stood out to me every time it came in. And I know samples have this kind of delay issue at times. And I don't know if it's just me, but like, it always bugs me a lot personally when my stuff does that. So I'm always scooting things forward so that it doesn't fall behind, especially as something like a battle track.
Yeah, there's MIDI offset timing. I know it's in Reaper as like something you can adjust in the I/O. I believe in Logic, you can also get a plugin. Like, I think there's a built-in plugin for shifting things by time. I've seen
I just drag the region over.
Yeah, you can also just drag it over. I'm always scared that like I'll screw stuff up, so I like doing like 60 ms to start. They sell, and again, don't buy it. You don't have to buy it. But I use a VST called Audio Empyrean Nucleus. It's not going to make this beautiful, pretty, like, realistic, deep orchestra. It doesn't even have, like, individual sections necessarily, but it's written for fast attack. Yeah, FL, I'm pretty sure, has, like, a MIDI offset as well. Spitfire BBC Orchestra. We used that for some time. I stopped using Spitfire, but their CEO, I believe, who was very hateful, left. So I can recommend them again. Check that out. If you go to Free Bedroom Producers blog. I don't remember the exact URL, but again, if you don't want to pay anything, which you shouldn't feel obligated to quite necessarily, feel free to use some of those. One thing that you may or may not be able to do, I do this, if I program choirs, I also layer myself in there and then just try to like get a little bit more dynamics. My microphone might be a little bit brighter than like the compressed, pre-processed sample. I know not everyone wants to do that, and
Yeah, I was just thinking that too,
can't always do
because
that.
rather than put in the effort to make my samples sound better, I usually just layer live stuff in, and that helps a lot.
The
more.
inverse is true too. Like,
Yeah.
I've layered MIDI guitars into regular just in case there's something so inhuman that's like getting snuck in like an octave lower, or just in general to get that tightness or something. But yeah, I think in terms of philosophy, maybe that covers it. Explore expression, CC commands for volume, velocity, vibrato can be automated. A lot of different work goes into a lot of symphonic or otherwise like VST heavy music to make it sound the way it does. And it's definitely worth playing with from the rock side to the string side, vocal side. And I think that'll help glue it together quite nicely.
Yeah, this comment about layering samples as well, I also do that. I do layer a lot of different libraries together if they don't sound good on their own.
Yeah. So Alex Mukala recommended Metropolis Arc for like a slightly more realistic while still not super intimate library. So I got that, and it's a little more expensive, of course. And then I layer the faster, cheap one that has more direct attack. So you end up blending in like, okay, I hear it and it's on time. And I'm using it for like metal, so you don't need to focus on that. I'm actually EQing my orchestra layers very aggressively, I guess, compared to what people should.
Well, no, but I do stuff like that too, especially because I play upper strings, of course. I don't play cello. So when I need more attack in my cello lines, I do often do that. Like I'll use one that's very sharp, but maybe like a solo cello, so it doesn't have all that room reverb and like mushy attack. And then I'll like layer that into a section sound, and that helps a lot. You just gotta play around with it depending on what you have.
I like that, and I think what's been kind of cool tonight, of course, is a lot of the experiences and like advice we're giving applies to like ourselves and a lot of the videos in general. So a lot of the times we're asking similar feedback. But yeah, this is contact strings, session strings, cinematics. Yeah, so you have like the default one that maybe isn't as realistic but gets the job done, loads faster. Session strings, big step up, and then cinematic studio solo, where you get like the fine details. And even if your RAM hates you, at least you end up with a sound you like. Let's keep going. We've got so much music to listen to. But thank you for your submission. This next one comes from Z Symphonia, or Emil, he, him. And it is one of my all-time favorite songs from VGM. So, Rosalina's Comet Observatory from Mario Galaxy. Yeah, actually my RAM was seated weird and it ended up killing me, but I can't take off my computer fan to fit in the 64 gigs that I bought like 4 years ago. And I'm too lazy to put it in. But since I've been doing Unreal Engine and Blender heavy stuff, now I finally need the RAM. I never needed it for music. I just print everything. So for this cover, we're looking at mix, audio, performance, arrangement, so no video. And I don't think we have any funny stories, so without further ado, some Rosalina. That's it.
think my playback died or something. I'm not hearing it. Sorry, can we start it over for me?
Oh, apologies, that was me. Let me fix everything. Feels so warm inside. Alrighty, chat. How do we feel about Comet Observatory by Z Symphonia? And this was a Sound Old Chill Out 2024 entry. With the free plug. Keep up with my buddy Soundol. Every summer he has a nice friendly competition to share chill VGM covers. It's a really great time. Almost 100 people seem to enter every time. Patty, any thoughts?
Yeah, this is really nice. I had a comment, and then my comment wasn't relevant anymore, but I think it still applies to the beginning of the arrangement.
Sure.
I felt like, well, first the string line, of course, I think could have been a little more like automated, or just like made a little more like expressive instead of just like sustained throughout the way it was. But also at the beginning, it felt like very heavy on the downbeats. Like there wasn't a lot going on. Like da 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 da. Like just the melody line, I guess is what I mean.
Oh, yes,
there wasn't
yes.
a lot of like a waltz feel or any other moving lines as much, unless I'm misremembering. But as the
Yes.
arrangement continued, that changed. But I guess, and that was good, but I think maybe it could have still had a little bit more in the beginning, even though, like, I get the point was that it was gonna, like, develop. It was still a little bit static, maybe, at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, there still could be more little variety, even just, like, little passing tones here and there, just to add a little more movement, so it's
Yeah,
not so
I
heavy on each beat.
I think, and there's like two sides to this, so I really wanted to see what kind of suggestions you would make from the arranger side, because I even caught like the strings sound like, that they're playing the chords exactly as written, but not necessarily as a conventional waltz might be written for that section. Mix wise, yeah, I also agree with Matt. Like maybe the volume wise, they're quite loud, and I heard a little bit of maybe compression. That was kind of I don't know if it was vibrato or if it was just wavering, but that might be something going on in like maybe the mix bus or like any effects on there. I'm not sure if that's just how the sample sounded. I really like the inclusion of
That's
acoustic.
true. They sounded a little too present, maybe. Like
Yeah.
maybe just too forward.
I got like a woo 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 wavery sound. I'm not sure, like it wasn't that exaggerated, but I don't know how to convey it. But yeah, like seeing ways to kind of blend that in would be cool. And then guitar wise, so I couldn't tell if this is a jazz arrangement necessarily or if it's borrowing more classical side. So I loved the guitar fills. That was really cool. If it's more of the jazz side or just in general, I would borrow some of those voicings as well. So, just as the strings can be doing different, parts between the, actual violins, violas, cellos, bass, you could try inverting voicings so that, there's complementary chords going on, interesting voicings, your sevens and nines and jazzy flat 13s or whatever. But yeah, just something so that there's a little bit more convention going on. And there's also more arranging going on. In general, it's a really pretty cover, and I love the instrument choices. But like playing with solos or different instrumentations, depending on, what you're going for, could be really interesting. And then a mixed thought I had was for the intro acoustic bass, this is something I think of a lot. It's very hard to hear bass solos. Especially on mobile phones. So I like making a second track when I have bass moments and solos, and then I'll bring that volume down, I'll balance it out, but then I'll, EQ the low end so you can really hear that kind of come through without really messing up the tone. That's just kind of like my approach to it. I think that was the main things I had noted down. Chat, what do you think? Again, a lot of I want to sleep, relaxing. It's a very chill cover.
I do. Is performance feedback okay too? I
Yes,
can't remember what
everything
was
but video.
I do think there could have been a little more phrasing with the performance, especially on the piano. Just to add to like the, because it's a waltz feel. Da 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 da. Da 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 da, leading into like bigger lines. Just to maybe that would have helped more in the beginning too, so that it could have like had less going on, if the melody line was a little bit more phrased. I don't know. I mean, I'm a performer, so it's like the first kind of thing I think of. But
what
like,
do you think about like leading into sections too? Because that was one thing I noticed. Of course, the original, like I think they don't have anything there, but when it comes to like arranging for a style, I thought it'd be cool to have the piano maybe lead into the B section.
I mean, I like to do that too. Yeah. I can't remember. I have to listen to it again, but to remember what was done. But yeah, studying music, like one thing that was kind of like hammered into me is like you're always going somewhere or coming back from somewhere. It never stays the same. Really, you shouldn't just be sitting on anything ever. You should always think, which note am I going to? And which one am I coming back from? Where's the height of the phrase and where does it rest? So I think especially for something like this that is so melodic and a waltz feel, there's really a lot of space for you to find places for it to breathe and to really sing.
I like the way you put that too, because that's a really, like, I don't often think about arranging, like I don't think of it with that label yet. That is what we're working on all the time, making the song interesting and each part kind of count and work together. And but yeah, I like that this was chill nonetheless, and I feel like there's all sorts of different options and conventions for, like you said, phrasing, voicings. But without further ado, I think we can go to our next one, which is really going to be nice right after this. This is Waltz de Chocobo by, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, Kalen Scott Thomas, he, him. So thank you for submitting. And we're going to go back to back with waltzes here. And it's 2 a.m., so I'll watch the VOD later. So hello, good morning. We're going to be chatting about mix, performance, and arrangement, so no video. I'm not sad, by the way, when I see that, but I did want to talk video a good bit to you. But nonetheless, let's get some jazzy lo-fi waltz to Chocobo. We all saw him smile when he nailed that. David, I'm framing that comment. Find a musical spot to end. I apologize. Okay, there we go. That was bluesy. And I'm also hyped because the next thing I think I'm gonna end up getting out is also a Chocobo cover of a mildly blues variety. It's more country, but yeah, I feel like to start here. I don't know if Kaylin follows me, but I am a huge fan of strats, blues, blues jams, blues rock, yeah. So this is just like designed to just make me happy. I love the guitar phrasing, the jamminess. I think this is what it actually feels like when you go to the Jazz VGM jams, which I dearly miss. Used to happen by me for a little while. And I think this is a really great cover for showcasing musicality and instrumentation of one instrument in particular the whole way. Which is actually why, like, when it started with the piano, like, I was expecting, like, a whole diverse thing, and I was like, oh my gosh, you just tricked us into watching you just shred blues for 3 minutes. But that I really like. I think my only notes are kind of like the variation of maybe the drums. This is less lo-fi in my mind. And I would almost say, like, because the rest of everything sounds like a blues jam, I would, if you're like not passionate about lo-fi necessarily and passionate about you know, the guitar side, maybe explore having this arrangement with a kit drum. And then I actually thought the guitar could be louder because that was a big thing. And then have maybe like wide reverb to fill out the space, since it's a very mono mixture to me. And then, you know, if you're not going for lo-fi in that case, you could have like a brighter mix. I think everything would come together. I know you said not in particular video, but because your guitar is unplugged, that means, I think, that you dubbed this, which I would highly suggest. Get like 2 to 4 angles of you doing that solo, because that was awesome. But a lot of people may find it samey as a visual thing and would miss out on, you know, just all the creative things you could do with that.
I did like how it had the piano part though, like
True.
in the visualizer. Like I didn't realize that's what was going on at first, and I was like,
Yeah, if I can quickly pause. And like shots like this are
no,
really
no,
cool.
like when it was just like the solo shot, there was like a
Yes.
or there was like another line that was going on that was still on there, and I
Have a
thought that
great
was
night.
neat. But also I liked how the piano was balanced or mixed like at the beginning. Like the way when it was setting everything up, like you could hear like the melody line and then but you could still hear the waltz feel, but it wasn't like it was tucked in a good way. And then the downbeats were harder to hear in the piano because they were covered by bass or something else.
Yeah.
So nothing was too heavy. Like it was just all kind of very well packed in there.
Yeah, that's actually something I think I picked up on a little bit, but yeah.
I don't know. That's all I can say about this style. Of
Sure,
it.
sure.
Yeah, just to say, like from whatever I can tell of this type of style, like it sounded very well mixed, I thought.
I think one thing we haven't talked about yet that comes to mind for me, and maybe you as well, is reference mixing and like reference in general. And I had this idea that I'll say now. I mean, I'm not worried anyone's going to take it, although Kaylin could certainly do it up. I was thinking today about, you know, how my live band likes mashing up a non-video game song into a video game song, just to kind of like play around, because that's one of Colby's big influences and mine. And I thought of John Mayer's Gravity mashed with Dire Dire Docks from Mario 64. But, you know, having watched Waltz to Chocobo, obviously you could do this with a lot of songs that are actually in 3/4. And I think that would be a great song for mix reference, minus the vocal spots, of course, unless you wanted to sing over it. That's your life choice. But yeah, having a song in mind that resembles yours in terms of instruments, production, even arrangement can be really helpful, let alone like what I specifically mean, of course, is like mix. But yeah, this sounds like if a Chocobo dressed as John Mayer was just jamming out at like Seventh Heaven or something. And it's really cool. So I feel like that's all I could say towards that. I think more covers could stand to explore this. Just jams and then come back to the game song that we know and love. And even like the sections that he played from the original, there's little ornaments, there's little bluesiness to it. So like I'm going to take that away. Like, okay, this person has like this kind of style to their arrangement, you know, and makes it unique. Yeah, no, like what David said, some covers are just like, it's this song, but it sounds like this song. Oftentimes I'll find like a band or even a pop song or just something, and I'm like, you know what, we're just gonna cover this because my audience is like 22 and they don't know what like this band is, so it's gonna be fine. And even at MagFest, we borrowed I think 3 or 4 different songs as the basis, and nobody caught all of them, just because, you know, it's something unique came out of it. Yeah, any other thoughts, chat, Patty? I don't want to rush these, but
Well,
I see the list and it grows and grows. All right, we've got 9 more to go. All right. So thank you again. This next one's from Thomas Pena, or Pena, please correct me. I'm going to link that here. He, him. I believe we have you in chat. And it comes from a game that Patty and I aren't huge fans of, but I guess we'll listen anyway. It comes from Ocarina of Time. The title.
I didn't realize you were being sarcastic.
Sorry. I do that. We got the Big Four mix video performance arrangement. Some notes. I saw this on a few people's actually, and this is going to be fun for both of us. Goal of improvement is keeping the camera in focus. And I will not tell you to buy a new camera or lens. That's my goal. So let's take a listen. Pressing start and nothing was happening. This is really strange. Alright. That was title theme by Thomas Pena from Ship of Harkanian. Chat, how do we feel? Patty, especially since there's a lot of strings.
There's a lot of strings, yeah.
Let's chat strings.
I'm curious, are these all live strings? Or did you put like layered samples as well? I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have Thomas in chat here. Mm-hmm. And if I can borrow a question as well, I want to know how this was recorded. Like, was this recorded into a software like a DAW, or was this kind of stacked together in a video editing, and or like, you know, kind of free form, no metronome or anything? Because that'll like help, I think, determine where the first kind of improvements are. Actually, let's go with the first question that was actually asked of us. How would you stay in focus on a camera? Especially assuming like you don't have autofocus on that particular camera.
Well, don't most cameras have autofocus? It's just a matter of how good it is. I mean, otherwise
yes,
it's manual focus.
So my T3i didn't have continuous autofocus where I could just set it to that and walk around. It would be...
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you'd have to actually have someone click that. So, yeah, There are many methods.
Yeah, it's
to
tricky
focus
because
on.
it depends on the camera. Because like when I was doing with iPhone, it was like really tough because you can't be in the shot and also point have it focus on you. If it's like too far away, you have to walk to it and then like walk back. Whereas if you're like having a camera that you're pointed at you, I don't know.
So
It
based on
depends kind
this,
of what
I
you're
would
looking at.
assume it's a DSLR type camera. For those in you in chat not familiar, those are usually. Wait. This is a bad example, but it's all I have. So this is a mirrorless camera, but it looks very similar to a DSLR. Ignore all the extra crap on top. And basically, wait, there's my preview. That camera is actually doing what's called continuous autofocus. So as things move in front of it, you can, as things move in front of it, it may catch on and focus on it. This is kind of a newer feature, relatively speaking. Your phone does it all the time. If you have like an iPhone 4 onwards, actually most all of them have this. And like Patty said, the newer and more expensive ones tend to be just better at it. Some follow your eyeballs, what have you. Recording on Canon, and I use the DaVinci Resolve to edit. Sure. So
wait, recording on the in-camera microphone? Because
yeah, I was curious.
that would be my first
Where's
thought.
the audio? I guess getting recorded, because if this is
Yeah.
camera audio, we can help in a different.
Then we could immediately improve that just by getting a
Yeah.
different getting a microphone, and you could still hook it up to the camera, but it would be better if you route it into an audio program.
Yeah, to close the focus, I think there's many ways, so you can look up different. I like to, have an object, especially if you have a lens that's aperture or f-stop is like 3 or higher. Usually that means a lot of things are going to be in focus in your camera. So I'll put a placeholder object. If you have a friend, family member who doesn't mind helping, they can stand in place and you can focus on them first. I would say use a smartphone instead of this Canon camera if you happen to have a fairly newer one, because the quality and sharpness will probably be a little bit better, and the focus can be a little bit better too.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I had my Canon that was older and didn't have great autofocus, I did used to do manual focus a lot and just pick a spot, make that be in focus, and then make sure I was standing there. And that was how I made sure I was always in focus, because
you could even,
so that would probably be my advice if that
you
is
could take like a placeholder object. My buddy Alejandro, he used to have a cardboard like cutout that was 5'7" or 6. Usually in a pinch I'll do something else. When I shoot myself, I'm spoiled now by my cameras, but even for manual focus, you can download something called Magic Lantern for Canon phones, and they have what's called focus zebras. So it'll show you exactly in kind of 3D what you're focused on. Because at some point, and I've shared this with a lot of people who ask me for video feedback, if the shot's not in focus, redo it. It's a great way to just show your presentations a little bit sharper. And I know it takes a bit of time, but once you find your rhythm, you're going to just automatically go to this, and it'll be that much easier. Yes, I shoot myself unless I ask my wife to do it for me, or a buddy. I just got a text from Allison. We can have affogato at home. I just want the whole chat to understand that how exciting coffee is. Anyway, but yeah, consider all sorts of different techniques. But yeah, definitely keep yourself in focus with one of these methods.
sorry.
Yeah, please.
Just Subversive Assets comment about don't feel you have to record the audio at the same time as the video. I take that for granted that people would already know that is like a thing to consider. But yeah, if you're going to be recording video and audio at the same time, it is more difficult to get good video because you're also having to get good audio, and if you're worried about being in focus and stuff, especially, that's going to be kind of tricky.
Yeah.
Like we both always, record ourselves first, get that good, and then spend like 100% of our focus when we're doing the video, because otherwise it's really hard to do both at the same time. I did both at the same time in the very beginning when I did like live stream quartet, and it was just the worst because it was just too much to focus on.
I used to get comments saying my faking was bad from like once from a peer, and I was really hurt, but also that's good feedback. Like if it bothers a guitar player, that's one thing, but also, you know, chances are if people see you, you know, dubbing or otherwise if you're out of focus and things. Okay, audio before the video.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, in that case, I would like to say, if you recorded the audio first, that's great. Then you can perform better for the video. It allows you to perform better for the video. And when I say that, I just mean like there are some shots where it looked like you weren't enjoying yourself, which I feel like is kind of important for music videos these days. And when you're recording, like this is like 100% of the reason why I don't record video and audio together is because when I'm recording audio, I look like angry or dead inside. Like, and you know, people know me as the smiling violinist. Well, I'm only smiling because like I'm focusing on smiling and performing. So if you can just perform and that's all you have to worry about, just looking the part, then it's good to spend more time working on that. Like, maybe smile or at least, I don't know, move a little bit or just feel comfortable. I know it's like super uncomfortable to be on camera. That's something that, you have to spend time and practice getting better with. But yeah, I think that would probably be like a good place to work on.
I think actually this ties a beautiful bow. Something Emil said in chat too. So, like Patty said, when you're recording, we're working hard, we're getting things on time, tight, expressive, all these like different things. When we're filming, and you can picture it because you watch videos, I watch videos, we all watch videos. What you see that makes you kind of excited, especially in performance type music videos, is like the performance, that person enjoying it, and that can mean a million different things. A lot of metal bands, they do look angry, but they're into it, they're excited. I like looking happy, and like I take from like watching concerts from Van Halen as my inspiration. So I like being zany and silly. But if you're energetic enough, then people also won't notice it. If it's a slower song and you're still kind of in that box, people can pick up on that. So a lot of the times where I've faked things and they look bad, like it was wrongful faking, I was still like running around and zipping with my guitar and like that kind of jamminess, which I just realized
wrongful faking. I like that.
Yeah, like right now, this would be a one angle here, and it's the difference between and you know what I just pictured as I was doing that horribly out of tune Kirby cover is David Guthrie music right there. Dude looks like he's having the best time playing guitar. Every video I've clicked, even chill stuff where it's supposed to be expressive. And again, everyone has a different guitar face or like in the zone violin face. Trombonists sadly don't get to make that much of a face, but that conveys a lot. And tonally, and I didn't want to talk too much about like video making side, but tonally, I do think you have the right attitude. The Zelda Ocarina title is like this somber kind of chilling moment. I think of it like after you're done doing a dungeon and Link actually goes to bed. That's kind of the energy here. So, you have like a little bit of mood lighting. I think that might have been something done intentionally that I very much appreciated. And yeah, that also means you can kind of express that too. Heck, if it was just a video of you like getting ready to go to bed or something and the moon was out, that would qualify as kind of engagement too. But yeah, I don't want to stick too long on that same point, but this was a really good discussion point, especially for you to talk to.
I love this comment. When I'm recording audio, I hate myself. On video, I act like I'm loving every second.
No, it's true. I remember some of the toughest stuff I've recorded, especially when someone's like paying you or like it's a big deadline. It's just like, why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? And if Allie were here, I would have her chime in too. It can be really frustrating, and that's sometimes you can channel that into something awesome, metal, but at the same time, I don't want to look uncomfortable, even if I am. And a lot of the times when we're shooting videos and it's burning up and we're dying out there, you don't want someone sitting there.
I usually hate filming, honestly. Like, it's my least favorite thing to do, the filming process, but, and as a classical musician too, part of me is like, why should I have to fake this or be over the top or whatever? But, it's about connecting with your audience. It's about, saying something to them. And I get so many comments on like that is a direct result of what I'm putting out there with my like visual performance, like emotionally, that I know that that's making a difference. And so like it is kind of necessary, that you show what you're feeling on the inside, on the outside, so that others can communicate with it, connect with it that way too. Because that's what we're doing with music, right? We're sharing it, or it's not just about like our own feelings about it.
Yeah, like when I see you play, like Korok Forest is a fun one for me because, and you've phrased this well, like when you get to dress up, when you get to play the music, you really feel like you're there in the games. And how would you feel in the games? How would someone playing the game, receive that kind of joy? Or on the flip side, you're playing like Ridley's theme, you're a boss theme, and you're fighting. How would I feel? How would you convey? How would, your favorite TV character or Samus, how would she feel? She'd feel like she better kill that thing, or So yeah, it's another layer that I don't think we got to talk to. I do want to keep us going, but this was a really great cover to check out, and also one that opens up a lot of really cool discussion points. This next one comes from our own Ian Martin, he, him. And let me share that in chat. And this one comes from another game very near and dear to you, Patty. It's Corridors of Time from Chrono Trigger. And we're going to be talking just about mixing. And of course, things that contribute to mix, which is often performance. But comments here, of course, struggling with mixing. Feel like trying to use reference mixes, but it's hard to do in terms of EQ and compression. Hard to pinpoint what exactly is wrong, but I can tell they don't sound like standard rock and pop tracks coming out, and I'd love to better know how to work on this. This is such a good one, and I've gotten to work with Ian quite a bit and even mix for Ian, and I'm excited for us to take a listen and kind of think together with chat what we could do in terms of production mix. Let's take a listen.
So stay
I hate cutting off,
That
especially
kind of
the pop
Duh.
style. What's that?
Just the where you cut it off.
I tried to time it like musically, like just like as tight as I could. Yeah, echoing chat out the gate. Yeah, 80s city pop. All sorts of very warm and delightful, colorful references come to mind. And I really like this style. I haven't been introduced to like a lot of, I don't know what the umbrella term is. Also, I'm getting distracted by these weird ads I want to watch together now. But yeah, I really like these kind of like genre flips, and I know from listening to a lot of Ian's music that many of them are derived from the style. So out the gate, I think a lot of that's really cool. The instrumentation of like synth and electric piano is neat. The 80s drum kit feels like that's spot on, and even like the vocal soaked in reverb feels very conventional, which I like. So like overall, I would never say that you didn't hit the mark in terms of getting a solid cover, at least as a baseline, for all the suggestions I could think of, which are basically just kind of approaches after the fact. I think like what did I write here? Compressing your drums overall or using parallel compression can help. And if you can find raw stems online of 808 drums or like 80s style, just the instrument itself, it's much easier to go back and forth. I struggle a lot with mixing when it comes to like, oh, listen to this song. Okay, now make yours sound closer to that. That's a lot to ask. So I like thinking of, okay, get the drums sounding like their drums. Maybe get their vocals sounding like different. I thought the vocals could also benefit from like having the reverb on a separate track and kind of balancing that out too, so that you have like less reverb on the beginning of the notes, but you have the tails kind of in that soaky reverb, or even just shrinking the room, kind of like a Phil Collins effect. And then, yeah, a lot of ideas would come to mind to just like kind of EQ down the vocal low mids a little bit, maybe have the bass cut out some of the mids there and leave space for the drum kit and the synthesizers. You could also explore sidechaining your vocals as a like one bus to the instrumental as one bus, and that way it comes down just a little bit when you're singing, and then you get the full volume of the instrumental. Those are the first things that kind of come to mind without like dissecting like the whole mix, but those kind of techniques have helped me personally. Patty, what do you think?
I think it sounds great. It's not my genre that I can really
sure.
say anything about. I did like that it started in a way that I didn't expect. Like, because I know the song, and it took me a second to be like, oh yeah, that's what this is, because it didn't start like at the beginning. So I don't know. I
like that as an arrangement when you kind of start with the B section as like a tease. I feel like a lot of people who've done that in like Kingdom Hearts covers often, or even FF ones, I'm just like, oh, this is really cool. Now let's Soothe. This beautiful little plugin. One technique that I've been seeing used by a lot of producers that I like and have been using myself. I used it on our last vocal cover. Is you put Soothe on a track that you want to kind of EQ or compress, but only when the vocal is singing or something. So I put on my instrumental Soothe and I sidechain the vocals. And what I mean by this, for those not familiar, is every time someone sings, my instruments will quiet down, but only in the frequencies of the vocal. So it perfectly cookie cutters the tracks to fit together well. And I find that way you don't mess up like how full and heavy your instrumental section is, but you get that nice clear vocal sound. Again, Soothe is kind of expensive, so I know it's not like the first plugin I would recommend people buy personally. If you're a student of a music school, I think you get a lot of stuff cheaper. I could be wrong. You can also do this exact same thing with any EQ that has a sidechain function, and you could shrink it down to just where vocals are normally. So I don't know, 100-ish hertz to like 8K hertz. Something I've done for sure on like pop tracks or anything like vocal that I mix. Yeah, and Subversive's like hyper focused also like on the reverb there. Getting the timing of reverb is something I'm not like too experienced with. But also, yeah, like this is a really ambitious thing you've done. If you wanted to work on mixing as like a skill set, I would say take away everything but bass and drums and one piano or like one keyboard from this part and try to get those to sound in a way where you're like, okay, like that's what I want out of it. It sounds like my reference or it just sounds great. And then introduce, more like don't try to make the biggest thing ever as practice either. I literally just wrote a song for mixing help 2 days ago and I called it Heat Wave because it's really freaking hot. And I didn't post it on Instagram or anything, though I thought about it, just because I was more eager to practice like drum mixing and guitar mixing. Different little steps for me personally. But yeah, if we don't have any more thoughts there, I think I'm gonna keep going. And let me prioritize folks in chat. Just because I do think I want to wrap up by 8 p.m. my time, so I can go eat.
Yeah.
But thank you again for your submission, Ian. I always love talking shop with you, and yeah, this is cool to see so much diversity in the submissions. I feel like we've only had actually like one or two like metal submissions, and the rest have been quite varied, which is nice because I mean both of us come from different kinds of music styles to begin with. So it's like truly unpredictable who you'll get. I'll probably end up making some ravioli. I didn't need to share that, but you know what? I did. All right, this next one comes from Nico Mendoza. He, him, in chat. This one, I don't know the song because it's been forever since I played Animal Crossing, but this is Harv's Island. And we're looking for a mix of anything from music, recording, mixing and all, and videography. Some notes here, looking for feedback with framing, lighting, length of video, transitions. And then from last stream, we got a list of things, because I remember Nico chatted and we came up with some cool ideas. Single shots instead of split screens. Don't plan on ditching, but if the style calls for it. Tracking and filming separately. So that means, I guess Nico was recording at the same time. Very daring. Multiple shots of same instruments. And yeah, let's dive into some Harv's Island.
That was really lovely.
Yeah, Nico Mendoza's Harv's Island, which I think that's the one where you get a photo studio randomly there, if I recall. I remember because I binged Animal Crossing, and then I I think I got to Harv's Island around the time that I played last. Yeah, it has a very like old country feel to start, which is pretty cool. And then of course a lot of different instruments coming in. The neat arrangement that way, like it grows over time. Let's see. So as far as feedback notes that I could think of, it's pretty balanced as far as just like the raw instruments falling into place. So everything I think of are things I would try, but they might make it more overproduced. And stylistically, I think you would benefit from maybe not going for that and referencing like a 1960s kind of recording. Things like tape saturating more of like the percussion and even the low end. I thought that the acoustic bass has a pretty nice rounded out tone, but the buzziness of the high end is something I would nitpick out just so that it's a little bit more controlled and you have more space for the guitars. Love the acoustic sound. I think they're recorded very tightly, which is something that I am very bad at often, and I have to redo and redo. So yeah, things like that. And then the percussion at the end I do think is quite loud, like as a jump. So when it comes to like your overall mix bus, I'm kind of curious how you would balance that against sudden like percussion jump scare. But I like that they're there. I would just see about like maybe getting less of the beater sound, and then just kind of keeping the low end from those, maybe like with a little bit of EQ or even like a multi-band compression so that you're only controlling the boominess of like, I don't know if that was a tom or if that was meant to be like a concert drum. I don't know instruments. I'm bad at this. But yeah, I thought that was lovely. Video-wise, I only have two notes. Is that the beginning, you started fading a little bit afterwards. I would have loved to see it a little earlier. And then I felt the whole video has a bit of an awkward green tint. And I didn't know if this is like a, you know, like a nod to like nature or something. But when it comes to like green color grades, I find it's a little bit like unnatural and it can make skin tones look a little funky. A reference there is The Matrix. The very first part of the whole movie with the apartments and the downtown life, it's all very green. And it's a great way to tell everyone something's kind of off. I don't know if that's, I think that's actually the light you chose in the video itself, like just tiny little lights that you can catch here and there. I like orange for like fall summery kind of vibes, or grading with an emphasis more on just like natural for things like this would be fine. But you could even go for like a real old school style and like make it film looking, add like film grain on top and raise like the blacks level so that you have that sort of like, this was shot on footage or something. Hard coloring iPhone footage, should I shoot a less compressed photo? So that's up to you. Actually, Patty, you've shot on iPhone more than I have, so any thoughts?
Well, I've shot on old iPhones. Well, yeah, I mean, it's been a while. I feel like with any camera, it's so important to get it in camera looking good first. Because it's, you know, you can only color grade so much. So that usually means like a different approach with the lighting or color balance on the phone. Maybe you have less options for color balancing in the phone. But like maybe mixing up different lights and how you use them. Like if I'm trying to, like usually when I go for more nature sound, I do try to go more warm, but not like the gross warm. Like it's really tricky balance, but I know that I have to get it in camera. I can't just add that in post or it will look like vintagey brown, you know, kind of what I'm not going for. Set my white balance to my key light temp on my camera.
Sorry.
Yeah. You know, you could also use like a color balance card maybe to try to like but like for videos that I'm intentionally trying to be more warm or not necessarily like how I am in this shot right now, very like neutral. I will usually light it a certain way differently so that it's not actually neutral. But it looks that way like as I'm filming because I don't want to rely too much on editing and post.
So one of my other favorite videographers in our scene, Rachel or Thunderask, very often I've checked her videos and it's a similar philosophy you've shared where a lot of everything seems to be like on the set, choice of lights and getting your white balance and your tint settings, and far less adjusting in post, which can actually be very intensive, like from editing perspective. But yeah, I don't know if it's so much white balance because I believe there was a green light there, but yeah, I think shooting for neutral is great, or at least balanced out, or go for something that you know you're gonna like in post, of course. Yeah, some cameras tend to lean on warmer. Sony cameras are apparently like
Some lights too. If the light is like not as good, then like the CRI is not as good. Then because like the first ring light I had would shoot like much warmer than the one that I got after that, and they were supposed to be the same like temperature, but because one had less color accuracy, so you know sometimes that matters, like the kind of bulbs or lighting you're using.
If we zoom out, also again, like in general, like we're looking at very well lit and contrasted videos here. I think.
Well, I did want to ask because my only comments were about lighting. You said that he's filming and
no longer
doing it at the same time?
time.
Oh, no longer. Okay. Okay, cool. Then you have more, options with lighting. I thought like at the beginning, especially, like it looked very nice, very cinematic. Then there were some shots that I thought looked a bit too broadly lit, at least for like this one, for example.
Yeah, this one I would offset the light a little or something.
It looks like it's lit from the front, like from where the camera is, and everything is just kind of flat and it doesn't have any dimension to it. Like so compared to like this shot, see there's still some shadows on the side of the face.
Like I could tell the light was placed on the left, whereas your neutral professional might have like a light behind, and hi Garfield, and one to like even out the right. And that's like, I guess,
same for like this one too. Like since I also play always kind of at this, sorry, what am I doing? At this angle, I always place the light to my side so that it like lights here, and then there's a little bit more shadow, here. And the other thing too, just because I'm a violinist, so I'm just gonna, say it.
Yes.
Oh, this one's also very broadly lit. So like if you put the light more
angle thing.
Just to offset it, so that it's not like where the camera is basically, but it's basically like if you're pointed this way, like in this shot, then it's kind of here, or even a little bit more, off to the side. Not in an extreme way, but just to get enough to give you more dimension in your face. Where was that one shot? Okay, this violin shot was also what I was going to say. It looks a bit distorted to me, just in terms of like it's just so close, like your hand, So it's just, I don't know. Well, if you're using a phone, it's tricky because that kind of depends on how close you're putting it. So it's harder to do close-up shots with a wider angled like lens or camera.
A lot of times, and I imagine this is also the case for you, Nico, because it is for me, it's like we want to get the close-ups because it just is what we're kind of expecting the audience to find more professional looking, and it is. But yes, every lens, I might have been speaking over where you're going, has a point where you're too close and it can't focus that close. I was going to say, with lighting, so I've been using this Aperture, I don't remember the name of it, but it's a softbox, so it's not as harsh, and you'll have a little less of that shot that Patty had brought up, where it's very harsh on you, and it's a little bit more pleasing to the eye if it were pointed direct. Often I'll bounce lights off of my walls because it's so bright, and I'll just have to use a couple more, but you'll have that indirect lighting, and it won't be so harsh on the face. It'll be a little bit nice. Again, not all cases need that. I've shot a lot of videos where I had really harsh lighting, but
it's a stylistic choice sometimes.
Those were metal videos where I wanted the thing to be kind of gritty stylistically, and like for talkies, like having a softbox or like offset lights It's a lot warmer and richer, and this is a very pretty, warm kind of song. So
Necessarily about less directly on the subject. It's like where on the subject you're lighting. Because it's still lighting the subject, but it's not lighting like from the front. This is weird to do with my like
Yeah.
like if this my webcam is here, right? If I had like a ring light around it, which is how a lot of people do like talking head videos and stuff. Like when I first got my ring light, I used to do that. I tried that with the violin. And I was just like, oh, it just looks terrible because you're just like everything is brightly lit and it's not flattering at all.
LED panels
So
are
especially
great
if you're going to be
for-
playing at an angle, you want to kind of just put it like in front of you, basically. Like camera's here, but you know, you're looking this way, light should be more over here. Or
you
even
have-
if you were looking at the front, you could put it on the side anyway. Like it shouldn't be, I don't know if I'm explaining this clearly.
No, so 3-point lighting, of course, is a technique, so you're not direct and you have something in front behind is great. And then if you only have the one LED panel, or if you have multiple, they are harsher. So that's where I usually like turn
Well, you could
down.
put diffusion though. You
Yes.
can use diffusion to make it less harsh.
I don't
like a
use my
softbox
panels
or something.
anymore. But yeah,
Yeah.
we had diffusion slides. I'd also just turn down the brightness or like angle
Yeah.
it away from you and then kind of experiment for a minute. And then if you're working in this kind of a studio where it's crowded and you like need to leave it forever, then yeah, it would be worth like testing out. Pillowcase or something to diffuse works. But yeah, also just not pointing it right in front of you usually helps. And, like,
Another thing you can look up for like examples of what I'm very badly describing is short versus broad lighting or like Rembrandt lighting. That's what I'm talking about, where it's like you're kind of not shooting like directly in front, where you place the light up off to the side for the more like optimal flattering like cinematic angle, because that's what it's called, and you can find a lot of resources on that for photography.
yeah,
Diffusion in like a softbox is what we're saying, but it doesn't have to be a softbox. But like, yeah, you have to do it as you're lighting, not in post.
Yeah, I think this is a really good video because it showcases a lot of what VGM started as, taken to like this next level. Not only speaking about how like the covers produced and performed really well, but like having multiple angles for the main part. I felt like if I watched
Yeah, there's
this,
good variety.
yeah, if I watch this from the perspective of a guitarist, which I am, I'm listening to the main thing and I can see the main thing being performed, and I personally really like that. Like it's nice to hear the side instruments and fills and all the work that goes into it. But when it comes down to like me being caveman brain, I want to hear the lead thing and I want to see the lead thing a lot. And it's nice to see the showcase because you have a very interesting 12-string guitar too, which I like. Yet diffusion, as in taking your light source and then softening it by putting something in front. Some people use bounce panels, but if you're not making a film studio out of your room, Shay's suggestion of a white pillowcase or just getting a softbox source of some sort is perfectly viable. I'm gonna keep us chugging, but this was a really good one to discuss, especially because we haven't talked lighting.
Yeah, I really like
And that's-
talking lighting.
Yeah, that's such a big one. This next one, I'm gonna see how to title the name of the game here. I'm just gonna put Vandal Hearts because we have a very creative title here from Subversive Asset, who makes, of course, stories to go along with covers performed on sax and other instruments. Two trains travel side by side, a one-man musical about the Industrial Revolution. This one, we got a couple notes, of course. Find that when I write lyrics to go with the music, I write parts that are maybe too fast to be understood. I also suspect I write lyrics with sound combinations that might not be good for singing and only realize later in editing. Thoughts on writing lyrics, instrumental music. So, out the gate, this is going to be an interesting one. I've written songs, I've written vocals and lyrics and things before, not frequently, of course, and maybe that's not the thing that folks will know me for, but I find all of this is really exciting because writing lyrics that make sense and feel correct and work your vowels and don't feel awkward is something I learned when I was taking kind of vocal and lyric writing lessons with Terrace and music, and I started noticing, oh, this is like very awkward, or this is too much to say. So let's take a listen, kind of get into that. Oh, and we'll be feedbacking on all aspects.
On the world stage, we represent the church. With a new age, we need exchange. Engine of curiosity, make the whole wide world seem close to me. Bring me the tales and the goods and all the foreign philosophy. Teach me a new way to see. Excavate our past, archaeology. Give me a hope and a drive to rethink our ideology. Miracle technology, improving our world's life expectancy, threatening to overthrow the church and the priests. What about the monarchy? Can we not question religion? Use the power to be governed by constitutions and liberty. I must confide, I'm terrified. This train we ride, it will collide. I can doubt the progress that's breaking out. Soon we will see an age of supremacy. On the world stage, we represent the church. With a new age, butterfly the third continental strange. Engine of supremacy, may the empire stretch for totality, may the world be bathed in baptism now, new rationality, just the unwashed messy. Bring it to the age of modernity, make it seem so great and grand that they accept voluntarily. Devilish psychology, propagating all inequalities, threatening to overthrow the dream of a just society.
Okay, I thought musically that might be the best way to cut off, but these are lengthy lines here, so I didn't want to ruin one. So, I've never played Vandal Hearts. I think I have seen this video, and I know that we're talking Industrial Revolution as a style, so that's my help there. I think there's a few different kinds of genres here, some of which I'm comfortable and familiar with, some I think you might be too, Patty, and then otherwise, I need to call in theater kids here. So, yeah, I love this style. I think this is a really unique thing that Subversive has done for a while now. So I've seen how it's grown. I've seen different approaches to it, starting from instrumental and no lyrics, and now we're getting vocals, harmonies, lyrics, of course, written, giving us context or lore development, kind of, I don't know. There's been a million ways that Subversive has classified his style in this. I think I called it literary nerdcore at some point, and that made me feel good inside. But nonetheless, I think it's really cool to see like a story and, you know, kind of a half original, half cover sort of thing evolve here. So all of my thoughts kind of evolve around how to better convey that and things that you could draw from to do that. And then I have just like one video thing and one music thing. So vocal wise, I think in terms of producing, tight. Harmonies and getting words to sound super tight, especially if you're having a patter. Is that the term, patter song? A very fast thing going on at once, especially if it's double tracked harmonies. I found that the production value instantly goes up when you line up your words, redo your take if you mess up a word. I talk and mess up and speak over myself a lot with vocals, but that can be a really big factor. And I heard in some of these lines that fumbles, especially when there's a lot of words. If you have too many words, cut it out. And if you don't hear like a perfect uniformish sort of thing, or close to rather, I'd say that's your best chance to go back into the lyrics and rewrite it to where you can do it. You know, just a popular example, of course, is, you know, I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry. Like the scrappy, peppy, all of those line up and they become much more comfortable on the ears, and it produces this very nice moment in a musical reference. And there's a million musicals. Hamilton's just the one I know best because I'm basic. But yeah, draw inspiration from those, and I think you'll find everything you need to copy and borrow from production wise. And yeah, like you could compress vocals a little more, you could brighten it up. All those little production things are fine and cool suggestions, but I think that's the one that could actually take this really far from that way. And then again, sing your song through. Don't do it away from the DAW. Do it on the drive as much as you can remember. Practice it elsewhere, because no one just magically gets the perfect take without practice or redoing it. And sometimes we can coast on being pretty good. And I feel like, yeah, you hand me a guitar and ask me to do a simple blues solo or something, that might be fine. But I think with vocals, especially if it's not your main, which I guess it's not, put that extra little bit of time in practicing and like rewrites, and it's going to be like so much more comfortable. The other thing is, and this could be my monitor, is some of the Georges here might benefit from a tiny bit of color correcting to cool them down. I know lighting is different, and also we share similar complexion, and I know different complexions call for different kinds of color correction to get a natural look. But that's something that I think you could put in an adjustment layer, because I believe Subversive is an After Effects editor. But I think that would be the quickest way to take care of that. But yeah, thoughts, chat? Thoughts, Patty?
Yeah. Yeah, the style does remind, well, I don't know if you mentioned Hamilton, which I'm not familiar with, but like it sounds very classical, like modern classical music to me, like especially from the start. And there's a lot going on. I feel like, and this is more me as like a person watching this video, but like I feel like there's a lot going on, and it's hard to kind of always grab onto everything, maybe. Or maybe that's just me. Like maybe if I watched it a few more times, but like it's really cool. I just don't know, like if I don't know.
Impression wise, I do think it can be more overwhelming, and like there's probably little steps, just like how my micro rant with split screens is that there's a lot going on at once, and I'm kind of trying to follow whatever the center voice is. There's a story here, and you have lyrics, and then there's one.
Or even before the lyrics started, like I liked the effect of it cutting like on every big beat, like it was with each image. Like that was really cool.
Yeah.
But I think it took me a while to realize like what it was about, or because I was like nothing was on the screen long enough for me to really register it. Like it was like a really cool effect, but I don't know if I really like was able to digest it as much as I should have.
I think one thing you brought up that's really apt, of course, is like things were going by so fast that it's hard to tell what it's about. Stylistically and lyrically, like if I pause and like read the lyrics separately while enjoying the tunes, then yeah, like I'll get the sense that we're talking about Industrial Revolution and a character who's going through a story in that setting. I would say, especially because I can tell these are passion projects, these are games that mean a lot more. If you kind of have, like if you spend even more time I would say you could add like a simple film burn layer, like old timey westerny look to something like this. So if I know nothing about anything and I don't even read the lyrics, but I like see the video and the style of it, or some of these like photos are really cool. These tell me more thematically, I think, what's gonna happen, which is really cool. And I know it would be like insane to be like, yeah, you should just act out the whole story and like make backdrops and make a movie. But yeah, like little steps towards that, or lower the opacity or like darken some of the harmonizers so it feels like there's people behind you. Maybe that could be like a way to visually make it more of like a stage play.
That's true, because I remember, like, I noticed like how, like, having 3 people on the screen, like in that shot you were just at,
Yeah. Yes.
is cool, but it kind of looks like, well, maybe it's intentional that they're so close together. But when it was just 3 people singing, it seemed like, well, why would they be so close, like behind him? Like it would be like a little more spread out, or maybe facing more towards the front rather than so like off to the side.
Or like having a
I don't
mark
know.
so that the distance between the person and the camera is equal, and then
Yeah.
it's a little bit more
or just
like
a way to
uniform.
put the little more distance, maybe, just because, yeah, it's hard to know what to focus on. And I get that it's kind of like a unit because they're all singing together, like all those parts.
The
But
reference that comes to mind for something like this, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody's famous music video, where you have a 4-part, harmony, of course, and you have the lead singer at the bottom. They don't distinguish themselves necessarily, but yeah, to have a lead singer then like fills coming in and out, it might be a little bit of work. The other idea that comes to mind is lyric videos. Like, usually lyric videos have the words right in your face. They float around, and then sometimes certain words in lines get like highlighted differently, and then the background is usually brought from the story. It's something I've been thinking of as I've been writing original music, but the nerdcore scene actually does this quite a lot. So like my friend Trey Watson did one for Dungeon Meshi, an anime about like D&D and food, and the lyric video has that sort of D&D inspired thing. It might be even less work to play around with having the words in the video, so like to have Subversive just on his own to the left, and then the words kind of pop up, and then again interpretive dance and like what's already there might make more sense.
yeah, I know. And I don't know like the best way to do it, but it's true. Like I had trouble like focusing on jumping back and forth to try to make sure I was getting everything. Of course, yeah, this is a different type of video that I'm used to seeing. It's like a whole other kind of genre in itself.
Yeah, MGR
Um,
brings up a good point too, that this is acting. And Patty, you brought up earlier about like how your performance is conveyed, and especially for George not performing an instrument here, it's like, one thing that you can absolutely take away is that he's acting. Like there's a story being conveyed through that, which connects to the game, and it makes this very unique out the gate. And I'm working on a very cinematic music video myself. I'm not singing about the Industrial Revolution, sadly. I'm just pretending to be a diver hunting for fish. But, there's a story there, there's an arc, and, the actions, the happy, the sad. If you're pulling from a game especially, it's really nice to see that conveyed. And I mean, like, for your Seymour video, where you're portraying a villain, you get to be kind of evil and show that. So that element, I think, absolutely is impressive and should stay.
yeah, for sure. No, it's very good, and I'm very impressed by the singing too. Like, like
Yeah,
actually, really.
I've watched you work on vocals quite a lot, and I brought up timing, but I certainly don't know within my own experience of singing. I feel like that was a solid vocal performance, and you have some magnificent range going on. So yeah,
Sings
like,
higher than I can.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, that's not saying that much for me, but like,
well, I know falsetto wise that's certainly higher than I can, and yeah, just like that's something that stands out really well. So looking into like little basics of like vocal production and exploring like what might sounds still like musical friendly, but brings up the evenness of the harmony vocals. If you listen to like stems you can find online of your favorite albums, the vocals usually have like compressor going in, a little bit of brightness, de-essing, a lot of common effects that I think once you kind of like preset them and forget them can go really far. And yeah, like instrumentally, I thought the instrumental could go up and then just kind of EQ out the space where the vocal lies, just so that there's a little bit more of like the percussion going on, like more stirring moments are more obvious together. But yeah, I think we spent a good bit of time on this because it's such a unique cover, covering like orchestration and then also video, vocal. Like it's a lot to think about. But with that, it is 8:20 and 11:20 East Coast. I can tell that folks are probably going to want to go to sleep, and I'm pretty hungry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this in our sheet so that we know we've done. We have 3, 4, 5, 6 videos we have not gotten through from UV Phoenix, Arrange Game Tracks, Michael K, Emilien Delcourt, Turbo Master. So what I'd like to do, since we're wrapping up here, is I'm going to post all of the lovely videos that we did get to watch in this particular video and in this VOD into my Discord. I'm going to make a channel called Feedback Stream. It will not be for getting feedback. I have Helping Station. But if you want to check out or follow any of those people, this will be a great way to do it. There's my Discord. You're welcome to join. Smallish community, all that. But thank you so much, first of all, to Patty for joining me and getting to listen to all sorts of different kinds of VGM. And thank you,
this was so much fun. Yeah, it's my pleasure. And thank you all for coming out. Like, this was a lot more of a response than I expected it was.
Yeah, we I think we both were like not sure what to expect. I haven't streamed on YouTube very long, so I'm happy that this is actually quite comfortable. I don't miss too much from Twitch particularly. I didn't have like a scornful reason to like leave, but yeah, and everyone who gave feedback again, yeah, just always feel free to reach out, keep up with communities like Pixel Mixers or Game Grooves. They both have feedback corners very often. You're welcome in my Discord as well. Patty has a Discord as well. By all means, let's close this out like a podcast. Patty, anything to plug coming up next, or anything interesting to tease? Or
coming up next? I don't know. Not
that you can
really
share, of course.
Well, I got a big Halloween video planned. It's like my big thing that I'm working on right now. It's gonna blow the Seymour video out of the water.
Ooh.
But yeah, I put an album out, but that was already back in February.
Doesn't matter. We're plugging it.
But yeah, it's a double album of music from Final Fantasy VII, so you can check that out if you want. But yeah, other than that, just doing the YouTube thing and all kinds of other fun stuff.
Very exciting. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm always looking forward to Halloween. Halloween's such a good time for VGM.
It's so fun.
And likewise, myself, I'll be sharing things on Discord. My next cover, one of them is already on Spotify. It is drastically different than anything I normally do. It's with my buddy Lorenzo de Siqueira. We did Chocobo theme as a kind of country rock style. I have a very crazy, wacky solo in that, and I played harmonica for the first time on YouTube. And I also have a cover with Stephen Higbee, another Washington local, who played Masterful Ocarina for Lugia's theme from Pokemon 2000, a movie I cherish dearly for that ending scene mostly. My drone is dead because of that video, so I got to reshoot it. We have Droney 2.0 because I am not smart with money, but I'm very excited to bust that open, so check that out. And one more Hades cover with Allison will be coming out soon, and my original song, Monsoon, is coming out. Dave the Diver video is coming out eventually. God, too many things to do. And I'm performing, if you're in the San Diego area, in August 11th at Brew Game Plus alongside Returners, Japanese Lunchtime Rush, a lot of really great people. So I will see all of you there. Otherwise, see